Get a personal video message for yourself or as a gift for someone else. For personal connections, shoutouts, birthdays, proposals, weddings, and much more. Enter your details about yourself so the celebrity can record a personal video message especially for you, including details such as your name, age, birthday, hobbies, or whatever else you include. As soon as the video has been recorded, you'll get an email with your link so you can share it on social media or download and keep it. Celebrities record videos as and when they can, usually within 2 weeks. But if you want a video for a specific date and it does not look like it will arrive in time, you can cancel it and get an instant refund at the click of a button. There are hundreds of celebrities to choose from and many more joining every day. Search by category or genre, buy a gift voucher, get updates and offers, and encourage your favorite celebrities to join so they can connect with fans in a fun and unique way. Raise money for their charities and much more. So order your video now for yourself or for someone else.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here, it's Escaffi. And I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Hi, Keith. Thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation and happy to be here.
No, absolutely. For people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, to never give up and to prove people wrong. To show them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. So you should prove to them, hashtag you can break the labels. As you can see, I created my own hat. It soon will be available once I find a I can't speak, people who would like to mass produce it. And this is actually my trophy. Basically, I had a chance, and I know this is one of your questions, this is for all out there, I had a chance to get something small like, season 1, season 2. Instead of buying like random things, I thought, hey, I'm a wrestling fan. Why not buy something badass that it's really good, that I would enjoy, instead of saying, oh hey, season 1, and then just throw it in the closet and don't acknowledge it. This one is actually an accessory. You can still debate if I want to go to Comic-Con with this. People would make fun of me, but then if I explain what it is, then they look like assholes for making fun of me because it's about disabilities. But basically, this belt symbolizes everything that I have accomplished in my life with dealing with a disability. And this is a trophy, not just for me, but for everyone out there. It says, you're deaf, blind, you're in a wheelchair, you have Down syndrome, you have cerebral palsies, you're not capable of doing things, if you're, retarded, you're mentally challenged, or whatever labels people want to label you. That's why I say hashtag break the labels. This should be an example. Hey, if a kid who learns at a 5th grade level, reads at a 5th grade level, can create his own talk show and do 772 of interviews in total, this should be an example of saying, if he can do it, I should do it too, and labels are not going to hold me back.
And I agree with that. I mean, that's certainly something, I think a lot of people live with certain labels, right? And you shouldn't. You should just live on your own terms, right? You don't
Right.
have to prove, that, because you have a label that you're not capable of doing whatever it is that you think you want to do, your dreams, your goals. I mean, it's, the thing, I heard this quote from this young lady that I was very captivated by her story. And she was in a wheelchair. It was a young woman, a Muslim woman, and she basically went into her background about getting or having being in an arranged marriage, right, at 18 years old, not being very happy. One day it turns out she gets into this accident. Her husband walked away, uninjured. And basically with her, she ended up in a wheelchair and just basically really questioning her life, her purpose in life, right? Because now not only was she unhappy, but she found herself in a wheelchair and limited as far as at the beginning, what she was seeing for herself, envisioning. But what she said, and I love what she said, is when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So I thought that was cute. It really, it's a very simple way to talk about just complications or just stuff that happens, right? Events that one does not, it doesn't occur, you don't think about that's going to happen to you, right? Because life is perfect or whatever the case may be. But, in many situations, and everybody can apply this, because everybody has hardships one way or another with labels or whatever. But if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Make the best of it, right?
That's true. I also have, well, you don't have to keep it PG. Also my show, I used to be called Uncensored, so I do keep it. And the reason I keep it, it's uncensored, freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. So I would like you to shoot to the point. But,
Sure.
and just point that out. But my other expression is, I guess you can say it's kind of PG-13-ish. Is
Okay.
if God gives you a shitty hand. Now, first off,
Sure.
you gotta, you have to wash your hands. And second of all, what God gave you, it's up to you to turn that into your advantage.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter, say, I have this horrible hand or whatever, but you have to be thankful or, generous, saying, okay, look what I have. How can I turn this into my advantage? Like with me, it's a disability. I learn at a 5th grade level. I read at a 5th grade level. I never went to college. And a lot of people say you're going to go to a group home or you got to be a burden for people. But look at what I accomplished so far. So basically, you're just saying that if people like to label you, people like say, oh, you're white, you're black, you're deaf, you're blind, you're normal, you're retarded. But everyone likes to put things in, people are kind of like neat freaks, or OCD, want to have everything real tidy and perfect and organized. But I'm showing people, you can throw whatever you want at me. It doesn't mean anything to me, and I'm going to show you I'm going to break the labels.
Well, that's also, it gives you more of a, I guess, a force, something that's saying, you know what, I'm going to show you. You're gonna let people know who Keith is, right? So you're gonna break all barriers, no matter what, and that's awesome. I think, with us conversing and communicating, you're very intelligent. You have a great future. So, and you're doing it. I mean, you're not letting certain things get in your way.
No, I hope so. I was talking to the people, one reason for my show, if we go back 10 years, well, 11 years, you can go back to my high school years, is I kind of walk around saying I wish I started my talk show sooner. And I'm thinking, well, when I would have done it, probably like 2009 to 2010 or something. But, I did have my own talk show in high school. And I didn't take it seriously because at that time, it was high school. Who takes high school seriously?
Right, you're preoccupied with, high school stuff.
Right. And I was thinking, maybe I should have made this a career sooner. But long story short, I got sick. Took me a year to recover. I collected disability. And I'm like, well, I don't want to collect disability for the rest of my life. I want to meet new people. And, then it was the whole thing with my birthday wish. Yeah, how I want to become famous and have famous friends. Then I was using my disability. Just giving you the highlights. Then I was using my disabilities as my crutch. And saying, it's great. I don't have to do this. Don't have to do that. But I didn't realize I was handcuffing myself, saying, okay, now you told people you're this and that. Now that's the impression they're always going to have of you. And that's why I created my talk show. But, it's... Actually, I forgot what my point was. But I'm pretty much saying, if I took this seriously earlier, maybe I would have done it right. I'll give you an example of what I mean by doing it right. Don't ask me why, and then after this I will pass it over to you. When I first started my show, I was taking phone calls. I was basically this. And then I recorded from the camera. And I suffer from depression, I have social anxiety. I'm socially awkward, so doing this helps me with my people skills. It helps me with my depression. It helps me socialize better, become a better person. And when I was doing all the phone interviews, I did 72 of them at the time. Don't ask me why. It seemed like a good idea at the time. And I was still having panic attacks. I was still having anxiety. And someone said to me, you had this great format. Why aren't you as big or wink bigger when you portray yourself to be? Why don't you have people helping you? I'm like, well, would you like to help me with that? He's like, no, if you can't do it yourself and it's meant to be. Alright, I used to hang up and it's like, yeah, thanks a lot, asshole. But one person said to me, do it over, but try a different approach. And I got up to 300 the first time doing the video interviews. Unfortunately, a lot of people were saying to me, you're not copyrighted, you're not trademarked, you're not this, you're not that. So I went to a senior lawyer / advisor.
Okay.
He said to me, you do not have to be copyrighted because you have an online presence, number one. 2, you do not have to be trademarked because that's $2,000. And you're not making any money, and all you're doing is putting yourself into debt, and how you got to pay off $2,000. He said to me, your biggest regret, or biggest mistake, was you were taking people at their word, how you sign a permission form. And I only do interviews when people do the permission forms. Beforehand, I was taking their words, like, hey, can you introduce yourself and state for the record, I have your permission. They're like, yeah. And after like a week or so, a month or a year, and this is how they talk. My agent said, and my publicist said, you're degrading, you ask a lot of stupid questions, we don't want to be associated with people like you, take it down.
So who was telling you this?
Oh, the people
that interviewed before.
Yes. And I'm like, why did we do the interview in the first place, only if you're going to throw it back in my face?
Right.
So I took everything down. That's when I was called uncensored. I said, screw it. I wrote up a permission form. I introduced myself. I tell you what the concept of the show is. You sign it either handwritten or via Skype or whatever. And
Okay.
doing the interview, it's a one-shot deal. I'm being upfront. You sign it, you say, okay, I'm very professional, here's what we're doing. We do the interview only if you sign the permission form. So I had to swallow about 120. And I got up to 200 because I redid it, everything. So I had to swallow 120. And originally, that's why I have the belt. Is when I got 300 the first time, I was like, I want to get... my brother makes a joke about this. It says a trophy for me. And he's like, normal people don't buy themselves trophies. But I was so happy I got 300 interviews. I got out and I bought myself a wrestling trophy. That's my belt. Unfortunately, at that time, I had people saying to me, making idle threats, or gonna sue me, you're degrading, blah, blah, blah. So I said, forget it. Here's the permission form. I'm going to start over. Realistically, yes, I did over 772 interviews. Unfortunately, half those people want nothing to do with me because I have poor people skills, and I admit I'm not perfect. I'm socially awkward. I do have problems, but it's kind of.
But what does that have to do with anything? Honestly, like, who's perfect?
Yes.
Who is a perfect person? Everybody has imperfections. I'm certainly not perfect myself. So.
No, I agree with you. And so from 300, I had to do it again. Thanks to you, we're up to 413. So if you add it all together, that's 772. Sorry, I'm a family member being obnoxious. And that's why I need my own studio. And also, just a long story short, on the Sony, yes, I did get up to 300. But look at, I started in 2013. And then from 2013, I did it over in 15. And each year, and I have binders filled of permission forms. This one's number 5. And each binder has 100 people that sign the permission form. I actually turned down interviews for celebrities because they're like, oh, let's do the interview. You're doing a great job. I said, okay, you're going to have to sign the permission form. And all of a sudden, they said, I don't want to do it. And they just throw it back saying, oh, I have to sign a permission form. Oh, that's unprofessional. Why do I have to do that? I never have to sign anything to do. Yeah, this is this whole long thing. It's so, my talk show and my disabilities, it's a work in progress.
Right.
I'm improving with every interview. I do rub people the wrong way. Sometimes I do it to get a reaction out of someone. But there are times where I'm just being myself and I just rub people the wrong way. I don't always do it to get sympathy. But it's, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, hey, you're either going to accept who I am or you're not going to accept me for who. You're either going to accept a person for who they are or you're not going to acknowledge them for what they could be.
Right. No, I can see that. And, again, you don't have to please everybody. Not everyone, as far as like in the world, right? You don't have to sit there and be liked by everybody. As long as you're happy with who you are and the people that care about you, your friends, your family, your colleagues, they are going to accept who you are no matter what. And those are the people that you want to stick close by with, right? And then everybody else, you can only be yourself and that's it. If they accept it, great. If not, then they don't.
No,
and you move on.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. It's this Skype.
No, you're good.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, what's the last 14 minutes left of the show, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay, excellent.
Gentlemen, welcome back to episode 413. I'm here with the beautiful and talented Alexandra Escaffi. I just want to say thank you for sticking with us. And with the last 13 minutes left of the show, I'm going to pass it over to you. Was there anything you wanted to know, anything you want to talk about? This is your time, after all.
Okay, well, I'm just going to basically introduce myself. Again, my name is Alexandra Escaffi. I guess I'm the 413th interviewer or interviewee. And so I've been here in Denver for, I want to say 18 years. Born in Miami, Florida, and I grew up in California. I have 2 boys, ages 21 and 22. Let's see, I have a bachelor's degree. I went to Regis University, and 3 credits away from my master's. So basically, yeah. So I actually graduated or went to college a little bit later. Just because right after high school, I moved quite a bit. I don't know what it is with me and moving, but
can you hang
go
on?
ahead.
I can still hear you. I just need to let my cat out. He's being obnoxious.
Oh, okay.
All right, so you were saying you're almost completed your master's. That's great.
You know, I tend to just kind of take it a little bit slower than like your average student, I guess. I was a mom at 23, 24. And, but I've always just, with moving around, you kind of have to, with in-state tuition and all that, so you kind of have to wait. So I always worked and went to school part-time. And that's just the way I decided to do it. But eventually, finally got my bachelor degree in business, and I minored in marketing. And my master's, whatever credits I have, it's an MBA. I just, I miss going to school. I enjoy learning new things, whether it's going to be for my career or personal. But then, so now that my kids are older, I kind of decided to make a little switch on my career. And so I'm focusing in on acting and modeling. So, and I did it a while back, but I was never like you, when you talked about wanting a talk show. I thought about it, and I was really interested in pursuing the entertainment field, but I was never that serious enough.
Hey, if you're passionate about it, you should go out and do it.
Exactly. So now that I'm thinking, what do I want to do when I grow up? Well, it's to be an actress full-time, eventually. So, I don't know, is there anything that you wanted to ask as far as...
Well, I was going to ask you, I do have a couple questions for off the air for you.
Oh, okay.
I do want to ask you about your business degree.
Okay.
Your business training and everything. Can you give us an example of what type of work in marketing you do?
Sure. So, currently, I am a marketing manager. And I have a sales background as well. But my company is a manufacturing company, medical manufacturing. So there's a lot of categories that can go into that. What we basically do is we work with stainless steel, metal. So anything that you can think of as far as medical devices, medical components that have metal in it or steel, we do. So a good example would be like a stethoscope, right?
Right.
You have like the plastic part, and then you have the metal, the clamps, right? That can go around your neck or that goes in your ear. That's what we do. And it's just such an interesting industry because, the medical industry in itself will never go away, right? There's always new research, new development, and you work with engineers. I work with, people in production. And actually, it's just on a daily basis. We're never doing the same product on a daily basis. We have certain projects that we've been doing for like 7-8 years now, but it just changes. So new development all the time. If we've done a component, there's been new improvements to it. So it's a very, I want to say a very small industry, but yet it is very intensive. So people in the manufacturing company like know each other.
Okay.
Some of our customers can be our vendors too, and it works vice versa. It's just very like a niche market. And so basically my job function, it's a smaller company. We have 3 divisions, but obviously here in Colorado, we're like in a 10,000 square foot building. We have about 22 employees. It never really seems to get any bigger. It's just, I think that's our magical number of employees. So we all kind of have our hands in everything. I could be in the finance and just being more of a bookkeeper or HR, or I'm in the back helping out in the shipping area. But what I also do is I follow up, like when we do quotes for customers, just follow up and seeing, whether or not pricing or lead times, anything like that work for them, or why didn't it? I tend to follow up on that. And then I also put together like all of the trade shows, and I work the trade shows as well.
Oh, nice.
So the biggest one, we've had several shows that we've participated in, and the biggest one is in Anaheim every year around the beginning of February. So that's like, people think of that show as like the national show. And, there's all levels of management. There's quality managers, engineers. You have your VPs, CFOs, CEOs, all attending that show. So it's a very important show in the industry. Okay. So I put that together and then work on like maybe the website, or I deal with like some of the outside sales reps that we have. So I have my hands in a lot of things at my work, which makes it interesting because I don't like redundancy, doing the same thing over and over again.
Right. What's your honest opinion about robots I know this sounds like an oxymoron or something out of a sci-fi movie, but what is your opinion about robots taking over human jobs? So, like for an example, you have over 20. You said 2,200?
No, just 22 people.
Oh, well, for an example, instead of just 22 people, you replace them with robots, because supposedly that's the way of the future, putting people out of work and having these stupid robots do everything for us and everything, and we're gonna become hermits. But I bet the suicide rate goes through the roof. But what is your honest opinion about that? Instead of working
it's heartening. And if you think about how America became so great, right, a while back, it was manufacturing. And the manufacturing industry was huge, which a lot of people, that was like the main, I don't want to say the main because I can't put that as like 100%, but a lot of people worked in manufacturing, and that's how America built itself. Robots taking over people's jobs. I mean, so I will touch base on that. I'm actually in a sci-fi movie having to do with robots and humans cohabitating. So that's an interesting one. But anyways, going back to that topic,
yes.
I think it's sad, but I think you kind of have to be proactive, right? I mean, as we head more into the future, technology advances, I say people just have to be more technical savvy or learn more about robots. There has to be maintenance on robots, right? They can't last forever. They are going to break down. So I just say stay ahead of the curve.
All right, so you would, while on the subject, you would rather, trying to find a word for it. Let's use Target for an example. Instead of walking in and seeing people doing cash register like me,
right?
Would you rather have someone doing register like me, a person, or a machine?
I would rather deal with the person. It's more personal. And as we get further down in the future, I think a lot of things are going to be more impersonal. When you go to the bank a lot of times, you can basically do a deposit. You can do a lot of things just with a machine, right? Yeah. An ATM machine. I think we're losing that sense of interaction between human beings. I mean, just like phones, right? Where our phones constantly, instead of actually doing things together as family and conversing with one another in person. So, I mean, it's devastating, and I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. I love a lot of the technology that we have, but we are losing that aspect of just being human beings and interacting with other people. So I don't know what the answer is. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, someone wakes up and says, let's just keep people dealing with people instead of dealing with robots or cyborgs or whatever. But with that being said, I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, are you on social media? Are you on Twitter, LinkedIn, Stage 32? Are you on all that fun stuff?
I am on all of it. So I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, Facebook. I think my Twitter is Escaffi Alley, at Escaffi Alley. And my Instagram is Escaffi, so AESCAFFI. And then Facebook, I'm under Alexandra Escaffi. That's my real name. So ALEXANDRA Escaffi. So yeah, for the industry that I'm in, it's a very useful tool, and people can actually have access to me. I'm also on IMDb. So, and that's under Ali Escaffi.
All right, and my last subject question I want to ask you, wrapping up or so, do you have a couple questions for you off the air? Is when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction to the message, and what made you say yes?
I thought, how cool. I'm like, oh, me? You want to interview me? But then you also touched on, what the purpose was, right? And so I felt, there was that you had compassion about a certain subject, and I think that's what drew me to say yes.
No, I appreciate it. Now, wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Thank you, Keith, so much, and you're welcome anytime.